Hello and welcome to episode 79 of Handgun Radio. I'm your host, Ryan Machad from the wild woods of central Maine, and this is your home for all the information, news, and discussion in the handgunning world. This week I'm joined by Paul Carlson to discuss his new SSA Plan B baseplate and magazine extension, as well as a few of the things he's seen at SHOT Show thus far. So, as always, Handgun Radio is brought to you by the Firearms Radio Network. And Paul, I'd ask how you're doing, but I see all those golden ceilings behind you and looks pretty nice out there. So how's it going out at SHOT?
It's going great. SHOT Show is always an exciting and fun time. A lot of time to catch up with folks that you've known for years and check out the new things that are going on. So it's hard not to be great while we're out here at SHOT Show. There's no doubt about it.
Excellent. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time to actually talk with us. I know it's a busy time out there, busy 5 days. So we're gonna actually skip the week in review this week because I really didn't do much of anything in terms of guns this week, just prepping for looking at all the SHOT Show coverage. So we'll head right into the main topic, the SSA Baseplate, Plan B Basepad, and the SHOT Show adventures thus far.
All right, yeah.
So, Paul, so recently you had contacted me about, and you had been talking about a product you had been working on for quite some time, and it has now actually officially released. It's released yesterday, Monday, I believe. And it is the Safety Solutions Academy baseplate, the Plan B baseplate and magazine extension. So what can you tell us about that?
Well, I can tell you all kinds of stuff about it right now. I just dropped it on the floor, but we'll slide over. Well, let me tell you first, we're here in the press room. And so there's a room set up here in the Venetian Hotel Sands Expo Center. And so all the press is around. There's a lot of action going on. You can see I just got a Gun Saves Live sticker dropped off to me. So, expect that there might be some interruptions today. The Plan B is really something that I've been working on for about 8 to 10 months now, and it's simply an area as an instructor I saw a problem. My students consistently were having issues with the Smith & Wesson Shield handgun, and the issues were from student to student. Popular, still is a popular gun, self-defense. And the issues needed to be addressed. When we're talking about self-defense firearms, they've got to work, they've got to be efficient, and if there are any shortcomings, those have got to be addressed. And that's the whole point of the Plan B, is to take and make the Smith & Wesson Shield the gun that it can be.
So there was a story behind the start of this, though. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. Daniel Shaw, Gunfighter Cast, Thunderbird Tactical, invited me out to teach a 2-day defensive handgun class, critical defensive handgun, out in Wichita, Kansas. And we headed out there, and I had a great group of guys in class, and several of them had Smith & Wesson Shield handguns. And no surprise to me, we started to have some issues with those handguns. And the issues really surround the magazine. Now, at that time, there wasn't yet a Smith & Wesson Shield with no safety. We'll leave that out of the picture. We'll talk about that. We'll come back to that in a minute. But the main problem that people were having was with the magazines and this base pad, this extension sleeve. The gun ships with a 7-round magazine that fits flush and an 8-round magazine that needs this sleeve, or it does need the sleeve. That's the right way to say it, which extends the grip down to the bottom of the magazine. And the problem is this sleeve, as you can see, moves pretty freely on the magazine. It takes a little bit of force, but it moves. Well, if it moves while it's being carried in a magazine pouch, if it gets bumped in your pocket, whatever happens and it moves and you need to use this magazine to reload, well, now you've got extra challenges that are involved. Not every time does it mean a bungled reload, but sometimes it does. The other issue people have is skin getting pinched in 2 places, above and below. And so this is a problem. Third real issue, and I've got here a frame of a Smith & Wesson Shield. You can see this, it's not really a real gun. The third issue is the back of the hand interacts with this base pad right here. So when you press the magazine release button, that mag isn't dropping free until you get your hand out of the way and let the mag drop free. That's a problem. It's a design issue. And so here in class, what I was telling people was, this needs to go. We deemed them the sleeves of death or whatever, and it needs to come out. So guys are just reloading this magazine. Now you've got this unsightly space, and the gun works just fine. So we've got these guys in class out in Kansas. They're running hard. This was a really good group of folks, and one student in particular was really pushing the limits, training with the gun he carried, working as hard as he could, And if you look closely, you can see the ejector and the magazine are really close right there.
Right.
Well, this magazine doesn't stop when you're working it hard. If you're at slide lock, the ejector is unsupported, the magazine goes in, and literally a fellow by the name of Martin bent his ejector straight up in the air, shut his gun down. And pounding myself on the head because I knew this was a possibility. I've messed around with 1911s for years. A 10-round magazine in a single stack 1911, same problem exists. And yet I didn't see that as an instructor. So I set students up for failure in class by having them take the sleeve off. So what I thought was a solution actually caused more problems. And so right then and there, I started working on trying to find the solution. And we tinkered around for quite some time. And then, as you know, I can't even tell you the month right now, but Smith & Wesson introduced the no safety shield. And when that happened, this problem right here went away and left one problem that I saw with this gun, and it was this sleeve. And so I amped up what it was that I was doing, got some folks involved and doing some work for me, some drawings, with the ideas, etc. And, the project cruised along. And of course, like a lot of projects do, it hit some bumps along the way. It stalled out. And so, beginning of November, I think it was October 30th, if I remember correctly, Mark Goldstein, the student that showed me the problems that I was introducing to students with this gun. He's a pilot, and he was returning a repaired aircraft for a commercial company, and unfortunately, the plane, lost power and crashed, and Mark was killed. And I felt at that moment like I had let a student down in not finding an answer to this question. I was never going to be able to answer that question for Mark. And that's when I really started to hammer on the project. And now, several months later, here we are. We've got a patent pending, viable. We're here at SHOT Show talking to folks to find out what they think the next step is. So we're really excited.
So exactly how does the design alleviate the three main problems that you encountered?
Yeah, that's a great question, Ryan, and it's important to take a look at it. First of all, I do want to say, of course, this is a prototype. So, you're going to see changes as we continue the design. What we really wanted to do was address those issues, and then we can work on some of the other aesthetics and things that are out there. So the first problem we talked about was the sleeve slipping. And you can see the shape of the tree sleeve, and it just runs straight down over the magazine, just like this. And the reason it slips is there's nothing connecting them together. So we simply took and developed a tongue and groove system. We've machined a channel in the sleeve, a male part, if you want to call it that, on the back end of the base pad. The two mate together, and there's no way that this sleeve can slide up. And that takes care of probably the biggest problem that we saw with the sleeve. We don't have to delete the sleeve now. The sleeve is fixed in place, and it's ready to rock. So that's the first issue. The second issue was dealing with the back, dealing with the interaction of the hand. And I'll hold it left-handed because it's easier for me to show you. But if you see, now let me get it in the frame there. There we go. We've relieved the back of the magazine extension sleeve so that it doesn't interact with the hand. And now you press the magazine release, and what do you know? That magazine falls free. There it is. It comes right out. I'm trying not to drop it on my computer keyboard. But no problem at all. The magazine is coming out. And so this being relieved in the back was a big step in the right direction. Again, you see the factory flush in the back. And then what we've done with the Plan B is we relieve the back. And what I'd like to see over time is kind of change this angle a little bit so that it mates with the gun and has a little bit more of an elegant line to it. But this gets the concept across that we don't want the back of the hand interacting with this. And this is a problem not just with the Smith & Wesson Shield, but with any gun that's got a magazine extension sleeve. So that's the challenge.
Right, and realistically, the part that matters being extended is the front strap and not really the back strap. Now, does the base unit actually add much weight in versus the other unit, the factory unit? Does it help it drop free as well?
That's a good question, and one of the things that people do when they get the two in their hand is they kind of heft them to say, what's going on. Certainly, right now, the aluminum is heavier. Our goal long term is probably for this to be a polymer part. This is probably better as a plastic piece from a manufacturing standpoint. Will perform just as well. So the weight, although it's there, is not the motivator for it to be able to drop free. The difference is your hand is not trapping a magazine in place. So certainly, people have put brass and stainless steel mag plates on magazines for years to give extra weight. That's not really the issue we're dealing with here. It's that friction between the hand and the magazine. So
Okay.
that's going to be the big motivator for allowing it to drop free.
So now that you've actually got the prototype design, or prototype quote unquote, I mean, you actually have it pretty well figured out in hand. What's your next step in terms of distribution and manufacture?
It's a good question. I set some pretty lofty goals for here at SHOT Show, and some of those goals were related directly to the Plan B. Obviously, this is of course the place to have something like this come out and to be able to show it to people, get feedback, and move on from there. And the response from folks has been fabulous. So what we've started doing already is meeting with folks that could produce this for us in its new modified state. Our next design, the version 3.0, this is the second go round on this piece. We're looking for manufacturers that could take this piece and turn it into something that they could, share with the world. And that's what we're after right now. I'm also going to be talking to major manufacturers, maybe even, ones with S's and W's in their name, to talk about, is this something that they're interested in? We took the time and put the effort forward and laid out the funds to have a provisional patent application filed before we came here to SHOT Show. So this idea, this concept is protected. It belongs to Safety Solutions Academy and Paul Carlson. But there's no reason why somebody like Smith & Wesson could not integrate this into the factory base pads. It, of course, would be a polymer part just like this, but a simple design change in this base pad makes it into this. And I would love to see, I want everyone that has a Smith & Wesson Shield to have a magazine that functions properly. And so that would be the ultimate goal, is to get this in hand. So for right now, this week we'll have the web page updated. We're getting quotes on production. As soon as we get a price established, we will have a place where people can make a pre-order for this Safety Solutions Academy Plan B magazine base pad, and then we will get those manufactured. We're hoping to have them out, confident that we can have them out in March, and get those out to folks. This first run will be the Mark I version, kind of in honor of Mark. It'll be an anodized black aluminum base pad, and then we'll go from there. We'll see who it is that may be interested in producing this as a polymer. If it's popular enough, maybe Safety Solutions Academy is going to make the investment to start manufacturing these base pads. That's certainly a reasonable possibility, and the response has been unbelievable. I can't keep up with the emails, the Facebook messages, the information that's coming through on Instagram, social media. I can't believe the buzz. It's humbling to know that people are that excited about something that I came up with and have had help from so many people to bring to market. So it's an amazingly exciting time.
Well, and the thing is, I mean, generally in this industry, to add a certain level of functionality to a gun that you really need that it lacks, you generally have to make some fairly big changes, which could include, I know like you're someone who takes a Glock 17 or Glock 19 and chop down the grip, or you do that, that's a modification that enhances the shootability for you. This is something that isn't going to alter the main firearm itself, but it's going to enhance the functionality and the shootability for a fraction of the cost of what other things may run you.
That's exactly right, and we're not looking at anything that changes the legal stance of the firearm, or the legal defense if you have to use this firearm for the defense of your life or other innocent life. We're not modifying safety features. We're simply enhancing the performance with a minor change, and a change that has been a long time. This goes far beyond the Smith & Wesson Shield. The XD series pistols, many of them come with magazine sleeves. We have students that have the same problem there. There are Taurus pistols that have magazine sleeves and clear plastic. Oh no, those are gone. But anyway, the idea would be that this has a wide reach, and it's not just the shield. It's improving the performance of a defensive firearm in general. And I'm very gracious to my students for giving me the ability or the opportunity to look and see the problems that we experience consistently and then do something about it. Again, there are many people that are involved in making this happen, and I'm just thankful that I've been in the position to be able to take notice of what's going on and then do something about it.
Well, and it seems to be a very economical way of enhancing the shootability of your handgun. It's not like, you're spending hundreds of dollars on some trigger that you really need. It's a magazine that's going to enhance, especially for people with larger hands. I've shot the Shield, and I've noticed those standard base plates. It's not very easy to shoot,
Right.
especially with the 100+ P loads. So
Certainly, most people with a 7-round magazine in the gun have the pinky hanging off of the bottom of the gun, and that's an uncomfortable position for most folks to be in when it comes to shooting. The 8-round magazine certainly gives you the advantage of getting a full grip, and then that's when these challenges are introduced. You've got this magazine in there, interaction on the back of the hand. We've got the slipping problems, and so that's what we're trying to address. Some people might say, well, I carry the gun with the 7-round magazine in it, and if I ever need to reload, I only have one reload. That's the 8-round magazine. People that carry small guns sometimes don't carry 2-3 magazines. In fact, they rarely do. And they'd say, well, then what's the benefit of this? It comes in with the slipping and getting the reload. This part doesn't matter as much anymore, but you don't want the slipping, and that's what you've got to make sure that you keep under control. And then the next thing comes to training. If you're going to go to the range and you're going to train with your gun, you want it to perform in a way that is consistent with how it's going to perform should you need to use it in a defensive encounter. And when you have this in place, you end up having to strip the magazine. You induce malfunctions of the magazine not dropping. That's not what we want. So that's where it comes into play is folks getting realistic training, getting a quality base pad that's going to help them out and keep their gun running properly.
now, and I think you may see some sales also from the people, and if it will translate to the 40, I know we both have similar feelings on
Sure.
the 40 caliber cartridge, but the Shield in 40 would certainly benefit from a product like this, I would think.
Absolutely, and that's one of the things. I've not done any testing right now with the 40 caliber, so I certainly can't give you definitive assurances on anything. But the magazine from a 9mm to a 40 are dimensionally the same.
Yeah, they're not
There's
that
no
much
reason.
difference at all.
It's basically feed lip issue and follower.
Right.
So there's really no reason why the part that we've developed specifically for the 9mm shouldn't fit directly onto the 40 Smith & Wesson and be ready to go, the Smith & Wesson Shield. So there shouldn't be any compatibility issue. We don't anticipate that. But again, I'll caution everyone to know that we haven't done any testing at all. So we may encounter problems we don't know.
Now, is there anything else you'd like to add before we sort of wrap it up here? I mean, everybody at Handgun Radio, we are all very happy for you. Really glad that you got this going. I know you've been talking about it for a long time, and it must be a great feeling to get something that you've been working so hard on actually up and running and have it in your hand rather than just having drawings on a piece of paper.
It's an awesome feeling, and I'm very thankful that I've had encouragement from folks like you. I got Richard Johnson from Gun Holsters and Gear sitting right next to me here, working and hammering away on his website, getting information up. And this is a guy that gave me a huge kick in the pants. And a week ago, 7 days ago, this did not exist. It wasn't happening, and I'd almost just hung it up. And Richard really took and got me motivated. And Jeff Webb is the machinist that did a bang up job he did with an idea I gave him at 5 o'clock on Saturday morning, and he had this part for me by 3 p.m. with no drawing, no nothing.
Wow.
Just amazing support that I've gotten. And you saw my Facebook posts. I need somebody with SolidWorks right now. Jason Allen out in Wichita. He's driving home from work. He gets a message from Daniel Shaw. He calls me. We talk. He turns around, goes back to work, and has drawings for me in my mailbox by the next morning. Unbelievable.
Wow.
Wouldn't have been able to do it without people jumping on board. And that's what's awesome about SHOT Show and awesome about the firearms community is there are so many people that are in this to do the right thing and to help out and to make progress. And I'm so thrilled to be a part of it. So I'm glad that you guys are on board, and I really appreciate the support.
Excellent. So, where's the best place for people to actually follow the whole journey of this as things progress? The SSA Facebook page.
Yeah, Facebook page is a great spot to go. In the next hour, I'm going to have up safetysolutionsacademy.com/plan B. We're
Okay.
going to go ahead and get a landing page set up where people can go. We'll integrate an email list. So if you want to know what's going on with the Plan B, you want to find out when and where and how you can get one of these, that's the place to go. safetysolutionsacademy.com/plan B.
All right, and so we'll make sure we put links to all those in the show notes, and make sure you keep an eye out on those. So, how's the SHOT Show journey been so far for those people who have never heard of it or never been to it? Uh, so far, what have you seen interesting?
So far, just about nothing. I mean, we got out here to Vegas. Yesterday was Industry Days, is what they call it now, and the AM media comes out to the range and takes a look at what's going on. There were some cool things out at the range. I spent some time talking with a guy named Scott Jedberg, and Scott is an innovative designer, and he has developed a steel target system that just knocks my socks off. Computer-controlled steel that is controllable to random numbers of hits. So you set a range, and the computer controls how many hits it takes to drop the steel, and then the steel drops, and then it can be stood back up. So let's say you have 6 steel plates. You might have, plates 1, 3, and 5 set up to drop between 2 and 5 rounds, and plate number 1 and 3 are going to drop between 5 and 7 rounds, and plate number 6 is going to drop between 1 and 3 rounds. It's randomized from those ranges, and now you've got a situation where you have to shoot just like you would shoot in a defensive situation until the target goes down, and it's going to change every time. You can run it over and over and over again, and it's going to be different every time within those ranges, and that is super cool.
That is
Very,
awesome.
very cool. Yeah, it's a really, really cool system. And Scott for at an engine had some conversations about some good things. So keep an eye on Jedberg. I also had a chance to shoot the Korth Sky Marshal. You had posted about that revolver, 9mm revolver. You might have a better handle on the stats than I do, Ryan, but I believe a 2-inch barrel, 6-shot revolver. It was very lightweight, 500 grams. I don't know what that means really, but I haven't done the conversion yet. That's the weight. And boy, oh boy, one of the smoothest revolver triggers that I've shot. The 9mm in a handgun is jumpy. There's no doubt about it, but it was certainly better than a lot of the other 9mm revolvers that I've shot. And the machining, the work on it, the trigger were pretty much amazing. So that was pretty cool to take a look at. And other than that, a lot of slow evolution going on out at the range. The Glocks with the sights, the red dot sights on top. We took a look at those. I didn't want to wait in line because they're going to shoot like any other Glock, and they've got a red dot on top. So the system looks pretty good there. All the new colors of the Smith & Wesson pistols, whether the FDE or the carbon fiber, the threaded barrels. So they had all the suppressed pistols and things out to shoot. So there was a lot of fun stuff out at the range. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, that 10mm Glock. I'm surprised. That's been a long time coming. I'm surprised they haven't come out with that beforehand.
Yeah, from a hunting standpoint, I really do see that as a good niche firearm for them. A lot of folks do like the 10mm as a hunting gun. For me in Ohio, it's probably a little bit overkill, but there are folks that probably want a 10mm and some of the things that are hunted here in North America with a handgun. The red dot sights are continuing to make progress forward, and we're going to continue to see those sights appearing on handguns. We now have 3 major manufacturers. We have Smith & Wesson, we have Carr, we have Glock that are offering guns that are set up and ready to go with red dot sights from the factory. So, like it or not, this is a trend of the future. It is what is happening. It's where things are going to go. I think we need to see some improvement in the red dots themselves. And one of the things I'll do here at the show is swing by Trijicon and talk to them about what they're doing, talk to Loophole, talk to the folks at Shield, I believe is the company out of Great Britain that makes a great red dot sight as well. and find out what's happening in helping those red dot sights be better red dot sights for handguns. Because remember, all of these were really designed to be used on a rifle, and they've been pressed into service in a way that they weren't designed to. They're performing very well, but there are durability issues, there are size issues, there are weight issues that need to get addressed. So we're looking forward to that. And as soon as we can get a Smith & Wesson Shield with a red, no, forget it.
Yeah. Now, with that Sky Marshal, did you have any extraction issues?
We didn't, and that was one of the things that I was looking at. I'm not a rimfire. Rimfire is not the right term. I'm not a rimless, revolver fan in general. Rimmed cartridges work much better in a revolver for a lot of reasons. When we look at the history of it, I don't remember what the Smith & Wesson is like compared to the Korth, compared to the. I see exactly what you mentioned before about the little tabs that come out on ejection. They aren't very big. I don't know. I don't know how that's going to work long term. We don't want a cartridge underneath the ejector on a revolver. If that happens, that's a major problem. And so the engagement has to be very positive, bringing those cartridges out. And so that's something to be seen. Different manufacturers, brass is in a lot of different tolerances out there. And so overall, I'd be concerned to see what happens with that.
Yeah, that was my concern. That 9mm is a real high-pressure cartridge, and if you get a soft piece of brass and that little ejector tab comes out, and it could actually tear off the rim, or if something's really stuck. So,
absolutely.
Well, excellent.
Possibilities.
Now, before we close things out and sort of wrap it up here, I know this is probably a question you expected me to ask. How has Remington's presence been at SHOT Show?
Well, you have to remember we're just getting started with the show, and so I have not been to the Remington booth yet. Remington was not present at Range Day yesterday at all, so there were no firearms to shoot, nobody to talk to, so that was not Industry Days was not on Remington's radar or plans. And those folks that I know that have been by the Remington booth so far, obviously it's a point of conversation. The new offerings that people had heard about are not here at SHOT Show. So would it be the RP45, the RM380, the what was the other one that they had that was coming out? Was there a single stack 9? What was that thing called?
Oh, the R51.
Yeah, no, that's not here either. So, I continue to look at that and hope that Remington is going to come to grips with what it is that's happening with that and let people know and get that sorted out. So we'll have to see where that goes. I know that Nissan is one of the sponsors here of the press room, and they'll be giving away a Remington VersaMax shotgun on Wednesday. I think that they intended that as an incentive. I don't know.
I have heard decent things about the VersaMax, but as the history of late would leave me a little bit suspicious.
Yeah. Well, they've got the new shotgun, the V3, I think it's called.
Yeah.
And I haven't looked it up in quite some time, but I'm curious about that. I mean, the VersaMax has been out for quite some time now and due for some modifications. And, they've changed the way the gas porting happens inside the chamber of the V3. And so, who knows? They might be onto something. But my issue comes down to, is it going to run? Is it going to work? Right. And what if it doesn't? Is it going to just, you send it back and we promise you a Pelican case for a gun you don't have anymore? I don't know.
Exactly. Well, anything else you'd like to say before we wrap it up, Paul?
Thanks so much for having me on, Ryan. I want to say thank you to all the fans. And if you folks head to safetysolutionsacademy.com/Plan B, I will do my darndest to get as much information up as I can, as well as drive forward on this project to completion, and hopefully ultimately have a lot of happy Smith & Wesson M&P shooters out there with a product that really enhances the performance of their pistol. So thanks so much for the opportunity.
Excellent. I'm really looking forward to hearing more about it and actually getting to use one here soon. So that about wraps up this episode of Handgun Radio. So be sure to support our sponsor, Caliber Coffee, by visiting calibercoffee.net or clicking the banner on the right-hand side of the page for more information and to place an order. Don't forget to shop Brownells using our affiliate link, handgunradio.com/Brownells. Be sure to go like Handgun Radio on Facebook and share it with your friends. Leave us a review on iTunes. It helps the show get noticed. Listen to all the great shows on the Firearms Radio Network, including the Reloading podcast. Be sure to visit the Firearms Insider for reviews and more awesome content. And if you're interested in writing reviews for the Firearms Insider, please email TJ at firearmsradio.tv. Be sure to check out the Firearms Radio Network on YouTube. And Paul, where can people find you?
SafetySolutionsAcademy.com is on Facebook, Twitter, all those places. And if you folks are looking for SHOT Show updates, I'll tell you the site that I'm going to be paying attention to find out what booth I should go to next is going to be gunholstersandgear.com.
Well, you can tell Richard, who's sitting right next to you, that I've been checking it all the way from Maine every day, so he's keeping me updated.
You and a whole bunch of other people.
Excellent. So, well, Paul, we really appreciate you coming on, and best of luck in your new endeavor, and can't wait to hear more.
Thanks so much, Ryan. We'll catch you again soon, okay?
Alrighty, and until next week, have fun and safe shooting.